Now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back, punters. Thanks for joining us for another week of the Pick and Go Rugby Podcast. Very excited to get stuck into a wild weekend of footy and another one we've got coming up. Joined this week, as always, by the great Richard Laddie. Richard, thanks for joining us once again.
Kia ora, Patrick. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. And he's pulled himself off the golf course or away from the pub after the Melbourne Cup and graced us with his presence this week. It's the one and only Paul Moati. Paul, how are you?
I'll have you know that I was invited to a Charity Ambrose tournament today, and I turned it down because we had the Pick and Go podcast.
Yeah, big of you to do the job you.
I just want you to be aware of the sacrifices I make.
Yeah, sacrifice is not something that I or anyone else associate closely with Paul Moati, but I don't want to get stuck into this because we're on a strict time limit, and we'll be here till next Tuesday if we head along with this train of thought. But what I do want to talk about is the All Blacks win over Wales and Cardiff on Sunday morning. Some of us were up bright and early to watch the game. Others have seen most of the highlights on YouTube. I'll leave you punters to speculate as to which of those are which. But I think the main talking point of the game, obviously, Beauden Barrett, 100th test. Both teams couldn't keep the ball away from him. Wales, given the 2 intercept tries, he was everywhere. Man of the match performance. Was he the standout performer for you too, Richard?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of had to give him the man of the match. There's probably a couple of the other All Blacks who, if it wasn't Bodie's 100th match, could have sort of put their hands up. But yeah, it was brilliant that they intercept early on the day, and then gets that late one. Salutes for the plenty of punters who would have had him first try scorer. They had that what a lad special, the first try in the first 10 minutes. So I think there was a few people who would have built up on that performance from Bodie. But yeah, it was great and really potentially probably just sort of cements his spot in that 10 jersey for the rest of the Northern Tour. Maybe not this week, but maybe the next 2 weeks after that.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you guys next. Obviously, Richie Mo'unga has had a bit of an interrupted second half of the year. Footy-wise, missed most of the Rugby Championship. Was good in Washington, but Paul probably could have heralded that team around the field and scored 80 or so. That was a nice thing I just said about you, Paul. Very hard to judge where he's at physically and I guess fitness-wise, but you have to expect he will hit the ground running against Italy this week. Not that that's much more of a test. At this stage, who do you think's got the nose in front for the 10 jersey when we come to the Ireland and France tests, Paul?
I think there'll be a big bearing on how Richie goes against Italy this weekend if he starts in the 10 jersey, and it looks like he probably will be. So if he has a blinder, I think he'll definitely he'll be in front of Bodie. But I think in terms of current form, Bodie is in front. I do agree with Richard when he says that Bodie was probably one of the top 3 players on the field last weekend. But because of all the sentimentality wrapped around it being a century of matches for him, it obviously swung his way. It was sort of like a nice little Hollywood movie ending. Everyone's happy. But I do think that he's probably playing the better football at the moment in terms of our number 1, number 10s. So, yeah, Bodie's in front for mine. But I think if Richie has a blinder against Italy, and I don't think he'll have to play too hard to have a blinder against those boys, then he'll probably get the nod for the next test.
Yeah, I think, anything could happen, right? If the Irish halves are as determined to throw Bodie the ball as the Welsh halves were off that first line out on Sunday morning, then I'd have Bodie in the team every day of the week. But yeah, Richie's
right in the breadbasket too.
Wasn't the most should we say tricky move I've ever seen off a line? As either you got your 8 here, your 6 here, you're just going to lob it right in between them and let the chin rest through the other way. But yeah.
What about the Jaco guy. Is that his name? Standing on the end of the All Black line.
Oh, Javo.
Javo.
How is that guy still getting led into?
How does he
around the world?
First of all, how does he get in? And is it still funny?
Well, yeah, I sort of thought it jumped. Not that this is at all anything to do with betting on rugby, but when he plowed over, was it Johnny Bairstow at the Oval when he was trying to face it? I sort of thought that was probably the end of Javo. Like I thought players probably going to get a bit sick of you if you're knocking them over. But then Brad Weber was trying to have a beer with him on Saturday night. So.
So the players don't mind.
Apparently, he wanted to jump on during the haka. He's probably lucky he didn't, because I think that a backlash from that.
Been met with a less positive response. He should have just wandered into a line out. That's where you could get on. The referees don't know numbers of the line out at the best of times, so that would have been when I would have had to go at it. But we could just dive in the side of a rolling mall.
Might have earned the Welsh a free kick or something.
Yeah, not that this is the Java podcast, but always good to give the man a shout out. Yeah, I mean, would it shock you if he just pops up in Dublin in a couple of weeks' time and he's I don't know, singing some song with the Irish? Yeah, who would know?
What song?
I'm not going to get involved in that. But yeah, anyway, on to back to the rugby in Cardiff rather than the Pumwadi type derailments of the game. Well, you both sort of said you think Bowden was in the conversation with man and that maybe not a standout top performer. Richard, who else who do you think the best ABs on ground were aside from Bodie?
I think Adi Sevilla was just huge. He was everywhere. Just probably one of the best games I've seen him play. An All Blacks jersey, just the power, that little offload he did for TJ for his try. I was just amazed at his performance. And as I said, I mean, Bodie was great, don't get me wrong, but on another day, there would have been he probably would have been named man of the match. I thought Will Jordan was great as well. Really, just that chip and chase try is just something that only he can do. I was sort of watching the replay of it before, and the way he it's not even like a sidestep. He just it's like when you're playing a computer game and you run sideways and then come,
glide.
He just glides. Beautiful to watch. So, I thought those two and Bodie would have been my sort of top three from the game.
Will Jordan, he's got a set of skills that are ridiculous, and one of those facets of that skill set has always been in the right place at the right time. That chip and chase was just pure. That was him just being brilliant. But you always see him pop up just when a player needs someone on support, or we need one more pass to complete a huge backline move or something. He just seems to be there all the time. He's that sort of player with a big bag of skills. So really, really enjoy watching him play. And he's sort of, he's added his name to the mix now. I think we talk about the battle between Richie and Bodie. I think we can start talking about a battle in the sort of the three quarters, in the wing three quarters. You could probably say that Geordie's got the 15 sort of all to himself now. So it's just the mixture of what wingers do we have? Do we have Will Jordan? Do we have Ioane? There's a few sort of.
Sevier Reese hasn't done anything wrong.
No.
Speaking of good tries, that one that he scored, he touched the ball about 3 times in 7 seconds, I think it was. It was incredible, he added some real spark. I did actually thought him and Moanga added some real spark off the bench as well, which sort of helped us sort of run away with it a bit in the end.
Yeah, no, it is an embarrassment of riches out wide, because then you got sort of Mackenzie and Geordie both at fullback who can play other positions, and I don't think the All Blacks are the selectors are probably any closer to knowing the first choice back three. I think Geordie's probably cemented the 15 jersey. Would you two agree with that?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for me, Rico's the 11, but we know, there's a whole conversation involving midfielders and.
Well, he was sick when he came into centre. I thought he sort of added a real sort of attacking spark into when he moved into midfield. So that's what I think. It's good to have him there, and then if he needs to come in, depending on who they've got on the bench, it's a good option.
That catch and pass that he did to set up Who was it? Was it Will Jaw?
It wasn't Severus try, was it?
It was out on towards the right.
No, not
there. It's the first time I've ever seen him do that. Just catch and pass. Usually he is always ready to take it into contact. But the right decision there was to catch and pass, and he did it, and he actually did it very, very well. So I think he's grown a bit on this tour. And I don't know I guess the selectors still probably see him as midfield cover. But I think it's shown, even though he has gained a few more skill, I think put him on the wing in the 11 and just let him go. Use that speed and strength that he has to sort of devastate opposition backlines. Yeah, he's really improved on this tour, I think, which is big because there's big improvements in the players that play in his position as well. So I'm really happy that he's sort of picked the ball up and he's doing a few more things now. So it'll be interesting to see where they go after the Italian test in terms of their selections.
Yeah, for me, Rico has sort of midfield coverage. It's a nice to have. Like, it's good if someone picks up nearly niggle or, in a game like Italy where you can just slot them in there. But when it comes to sort of those games against the top 10 nations, your South Africas or your Frances, yeah, he is very much a winger. But it's interesting because one player I think might be getting a bit concerned about his hold on his first choice spot, especially compared to his form at probably the start of the Rugby Championships, David Havili. He probably came in for a little bit of criticism, maybe exposed defensively a couple of times and a couple of issues disciplinary wise. Was that, does anyone else think that maybe the All Black selectors might be looking towards a bit of a reshuffle in the midfield there if Havili, maybe the honeymoon's over after he hit the ground so well against Australia early on?
I think it's a lot harder I think it's a lot harder to get out of the All Blacks than it is to get in. So once you're in, they actually give you a really, really good go usually. So I don't think we'll see too many changes in regards to the sort of midfield setup. I think their number one combination before leaving for overseas would have been Havili and Leonard Brown. So I don't see them moving too far outside of that. Who knows? They may give Ioane a go in the 13 jersey against Italy, just to mix it up a wee bit. But I think once they get to the two big tests after that, we'll see them revert back to normal.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree. I mean, I think that he was sort of so good early in the season that I think that they will keep him there. But he wasn't good on Sunday. Wasn't good at all. He sort of had that charge down early in the game and that kind of set it up. And he got sort of exposed a bit. But I think as Paul says, that it's harder to get out than get in. Tapia has made most of his chances, been good when he has. And if he does get a shot, then I wouldn't say that he doesn't deserve it. But I think that Havili, at least for that first game of those big two, I think they'll stick with him.
Might as well jump along to Rome this Sunday morning then on that note, because I think Quintapai is probably one of could see maybe even 15 changes from the All Blacks back in the Graham Henry days where they just rotated and starting 15s week on, week out, which was always a lot of fun for those trying to keep track. But yeah, I presume I'm not the only one. Paul, you must be expecting at least 10 or so changes to that starting 15 from the Wales test.
Yeah, you sort of expect it, especially in the forward pack. I think the tight five, you should see wholesale changes there. They'll probably mix up the loose forwards as well, switch around halfbacks, Richie into the number 10. As you say, Tupai probably gets a start. And then the outside backs, everyone's playing so well, it doesn't really matter who they put there. So yeah, we're probably going to see a completely different team to the one that ran onto the field against the Welsh last weekend.
Yeah, it was sort of touched on a few of the guys who think need to probably get one big performance out of them to really lock up a spot in those two big tests at the end of the year. But Azuni, maybe the younger guys, Richard, you're excited to see get a run against this Italy team, think could, maybe stamp down a marker of what is to come. I remember a few years ago, it must have been the 2018 test, Rieko Ioane, I think he was like sort of the Josh Lord character of that tour, and he got a run against Italy, and that was, maybe it was even 2016, but everyone sort of said, wow, this guy's the real deal. Like, you can tell. So is there anyone you've got your eye on for that sort of performance on Sunday morning?
He's been playing quite a bit already, but we've talked about him last few weeks on this podcast. But yeah, Ethan Blackadder just seems to be sort of growing every game he plays. He's still so young, and probably has. If he hasn't cemented a spot, he's close to sort of cementing one of those spots in the back row. So yeah, hopefully he gets another run. Be good to see Finlay Christie get another run as well. I thought it was exciting to watch in that USA test. So even if he gets a start or a spot off the bench, it'd be cool to see him sort of just show us what he's capable of. That halfback position, it's a hard one. You imagine that TJ's probably edging Brad Weber out a little bit, but neither of them are exactly putting their hand up massively. Patrick. Neither of them are exactly like, they're both playing solid, I think, but neither of them are lighting the world on fire. So it'd be good to see Christie get in there and give them a bit of a push up the backside.
How about you, Paul? Are there any spots you've got an eye on, or youngsters you think could star in Rome?
I'd like to see De Groot get another go. I like the cut of his jib, and the Bloodhound gang, their ode to him was really, really nice. De Groot is on fire. Hey, okay.
It's not the ECNZ breakfast show now, mate.
Josh Lord as well. I think this is obvious. This is the obvious game that he gets a start. So yeah, I sort of agree with Rishi a bit. I think there's not a lot between the number nines on tour. To be fair, I don't think anyone has said it's my jersey while Aaron Smith isn't here. So yeah, just been a wee bit not disappointed, but I thought someone might just put their hand up and go, no, this is mine, and that hasn't eventuated yet.
Well, we did touch on it last week when you were off on your adventures, but I posited that maybe given, the lack of someone really grabbing that number 9 jersey, do you think this time next year, maybe Aaron Smith and Folau Fakatava are clearly the top 2 number 9s in New Zealand, if all goes well, injury and eligibility-wise?
Yes, obviously hope he gets he has a nice speedy well, it hasn't been a speedy recovery, but when he does recover, I hope that the leg's fine, he's fine, everything's good, because if he recaptures the form that he had before he got injured, he will definitely be the number 2 halfback behind Aaron Smith.
I tend to agree there. All right, should we should get to some betting for this game, I suppose, given TAB podcast and all. All Blacks 55.5 point favourites currently, a little bit shorter than they were. Sorry, the line's a little bit smaller than it was for the test in Washington, but obviously much higher than it was in Cardiff. I imagine it's going to be a similar team to the one we saw in Washington. 63 and 58 point victories for the All Blacks the last 2 times they went to Rome, both obviously not playing full strength teams. Italy probably got worse since those tests. I'm not watching a lot of Pro 14, but yeah, the reports you hear from everyone out of the Europe, the Italian development that they hope to see has just not happened, and they're almost going backwards because of I don't know. Either of you two got a particular lean on the game early on, or any other markets that maybe caught your eye?
Yeah.
It's hard to give Italy much of a chance. Even when they haven't played since, I think, Six Nations in March, and there they lost to Scotland by 40, Ireland by 38, France by 40. So yeah, they've had some big losses, and I don't know, the way that All Blacks team are throwing it around in Washington, I could see them put up a bit of a cricket score.
How about you, Paul?
You can't see anything other than one-way traffic here. even though when you make wholesale changes, and if that's what the selectors do, it can upset the rhythm of a team slightly. I just think the opposition that they'll be up against won't provide enough of a competitive edge to sort of halt this All Black juggernaut that we're witnessing at the moment. I mean, if the Welsh got 50 points put on them, I'll pray for the Italians, to be fair. Minus 55.5. I don't think it's enough at all.
No, I'm probably in the same basket as you. As I want to do, we'll probably be playing a few of those alternate point starts. I think, especially with a few jumpers up for grabs and guys wanting to put on performances. I think just the way Tupaia, every time he got the ball in Washington, was putting his head down and beating a defender or two. Another name we haven't really touched on, but Akira Ioane, I would expect to start at blindside flanker, and boy, he was ripping up Wallaby defences a few weeks ago, and if he gets a bit of ball out of those edges, it could be some pretty ugly scenes if you're an Italian fan. I think he'd be one I'm circling for maybe a couple of try scorer bets. Tupu Vaia's been pretty dynamic with ball in hand. You just look at this team, and even though it's going to be the second choice All Blacks team, there's going to be so much talent there. Richie Mo'unga is Richie Mo'unga. Like, there's no complaints there. The rest of the back three, no matter who you pick there, they're going to be very solid and capable of putting up plenty of points. If it's a good day in Rome and a flat track, the Olympico usually, I mean, we've seen that in the Six Nations. Whenever anyone's come there, you can put up a big score there if you want to. So I'd be going All Blacks minus 60.5, All Blacks minus 70.5 maybe, and try and catch the big fish, because the way these All Blacks, like you saw it against the States, you saw it against Tonga earlier in the season. No matter the opposition, even the Fiji tests, which were close, but blew out at the end. Like this All Black team, when they get a sniff, they're not putting the cue in the rack. They're gonna go for the jugular. So I could see them racking a big score. I don't know.
Yeah, hard to see it going the other way. I was thinking the same.
Dangerous when we're all in agreement.
That line, along the line of what they've done against the Argentinas, and even those Fiji games. Like I was looking back at them. I was like, they're quite close, and then I looked at the scorelines a couple of days ago, and I was like, oh no, we still won by like 40 points or something. So
like that first session in Dunedin was close until Dan Cole scored 4 tries in the last 20 minutes or whatever it was. And I think Dane's going to start as well, so there'll be no. Plum's already confirmed that, so there'll be no shortage of intensity from the All Black Dane's tossing some poor Italian second rower into the advertising hoardings, or I mean, what Cole's first try scorer, Takeaho last try scorer, same game multi. I'm sure we can interest you in that, Paul.
I'm already on.
I did have Dane last try scorer against Washington, which was in Washington against the US, which was looking great until TJ got involved. So
don't get me started on that last try, Patrick.
All right. I think that pretty much sums it up. It's going to be more of the same in Rome, but there is a very exciting weekend of rugby happening down under, with semi-final spots up for grabs all over the place in the Bunnings NPC. We'll just quickly go through the action last weekend, or lack of action, as I think was the case on Friday night at Orange Theory Stadium. There were a few rolling mauls. Neither team really, pretty miserable weather. Neither team could really get too much going. And Canterbury, to their credit, I haven't given them a lot of it recently on this podcast, but they stuck strong and ground out a win against their local rivals, nudging ahead of them on the table as well. Did you expect to see that, Rissy? Were you surprised? Any major takeaways?
I was happy to see it. Canterbury is obviously the team I support, but I had backed Tasman and some, with my bonus back bet and a couple of point starts as well. I thought that they were going to do a number on them. The weather probably didn't help, but they didn't do themselves any favours. They looked like they probably had it, and then they just last sort of 15 minutes, they just sort of let the ball down, and Canterbury just grounded out a couple of tries and grounded out the win. So good on them. I mean, Canterbury still they weren't super convincing. At one point it was 13-15, and I think they got outscored 6-0 or something like that during that time. So but they would have taken a lot of confidence from that win, and be huge coming into this weekend's big match against Bay Plenty.
Yeah, absolutely, which we'll get to shortly, but is essentially a quarterfinal. It's a win and you're in sort of situation. Are we at all concerned about Tasman now, Paul, though? That's their third loss from their last 4 competition games, and they're now, so I think they're at the bottom or second bottom of the premiership standing. So if the semi-finals were this weekend, they'd be at home watching on the couch. We pretty much all had them. They're up probably with Auckland and pre-season predictions. Are you a bit concerned now as we get towards the business end of the season?
Yeah, did their sort of turnaround in form occur not long after it was announced there'd be no promotion relegation? It's almost as if they've sort of, I mean, to be fair to them, they were up early in that game and probably should have held on or extended that lead, but just went off the boil. And I don't know if it's an attitudinal thing, because they're not going to be relegated if they finish bottom of the table. Sort of, I don't know. I can't think, because they should, on paper, be the better team, and we saw that from them at the beginning of the season. Just seems like they've just the last month they've just gone off the boil. And I don't know if they've just sort of relaxed a wee bit. If they play to their potential, they'll put a few points on Wellington this weekend. But not the way they're playing at the moment. Something just seems to be off slightly.
Yeah, I think they might have sort of reached that critical mass in terms of attrition from last year's team as well, right? You think of all the guys like Christie and Blackadder, obviously with the All Blacks now. Havili was playing, I think he played the full season with them last year. Then was Quinton Strange. Yeah, Frizzell they had for a few games before he went. Quinton Strange picked up that injury early on against Hawke's Bay. That's a lot of the sort of engine room of their pack that was, and it's all well and good having the Firing Yanukus and guys like that out on the wing. But if you don't have the grunt, and that was really where Canterbury sort of big brothered them, and there's a few of those rolling balls and stuff, especially at the end there when Tasman did have a chance to nick the win late on. Luke Romano sort of got a hold of the ball and said, no, not on my watch. I don't know if it's maybe just you can only withstand so many losses of those sort of top tier Super Rugby players from a NPC side. But yeah, it's just one of those. It's been such a weird season with the break in the middle and all these non-competition games and Auckland sides, and I know it'd be hard to fault them for just not maybe being there mentally, especially, they were obviously building towards that game in Napier and had the Shield Challenge very front of mind. The emotional letdown after that, after coming close and not that the second half where they just couldn't get across the line, maybe that just sort of the air went out of the balloon, and they've won the premiership the last 2 seasons. Winning it a third time is not the carrot that the Ranfurly Shield probably was for them, you might have to say. One team that did finally get a win. Romano. Do you have another jingle about him?
No, he's found greener grass. Won't be part of the Crusaders next year.
Who is he off to? I haven't seen this.
Isn't he going to the Blues?
Oh yeah. Not the only signing the Blues have made this week. Joe Schmidt signed up to be a technical advisor or something along those lines.
An assistant coach or so.
Yeah. I cannot wait to see the set moves he has lined up with that backline. He's going to have Bodie and Tuivasa-Sheck and Finlay. Oh, it's going to be so good. That Blues team's going to be so much fun next year. Just all the Joe Schmidt. That's a huge signing for them. But yeah, no, Romano will certainly help. That the one area the Blues are probably still lacking in is that winning mentality, culture sort of area, and we saw on Saturday night Romano's got plenty of that in terms of being just a born winner and someone who knows how to get the job done. So let's get that.
He doesn't mind getting his hands dirty.
Get that Blues bandwagon fired up. All aboard.
Poor old Rishi, look at him. He's devastated.
You must be about due for another Super Rugby team change, aren't you? Maybe
Oh, we'll see. Crusaders have been low. They didn't win something for once, so maybe I'll jump back on that bandwagon.
Roger Tuivasa-Sheck can leave the Warriors for the Blues. I'll let you leave the Warriors for the Blues.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I don't know. Was there any takeaways from Southland versus Northland? Nice to see Southland get a win. Northland probably, very tough having to play 3 games in 8 days. My sort of 2 notes.
Yeah. You got to be happy for Southland.
Southland have been very, very close. What was the game where Marty Banks missed a fairly handy penalty late in the game
against Canterbury?
And they went to extra time, didn't they? Yeah. That was one that got away. So I was happy to see them get a win. Finally, they deserved it. They, especially at home, they just grind away, and it's like, yeah.
And I mean, they've been scoring some points this season. They'd scored 37 there. They were reasonably free-flowing against Manawatu. Like, a lot of it was Marty Banks creating stuff and desperately hoping that someone would follow him along in the runs. But yeah, it's not, they can win a game by a score other than 10-8. So credit to them there. But yeah, I think we're going to find
this spot in the semi-finals from one win, though, eh?
Yeah, that just goes to show, right? Like, and now they have to play in Taranaki each of the next 2 weeks, which is
could get ugly.
Very tough task going to Inglewood 2 weeks in a row, that's for sure, for anyone, let alone rugby teams. What else we got?
Wow.
You right, Paul?
Yeah, Inglewood's a nice place.
Oh yeah, that's what I said.
Hawke's Bay, too good.
Yeah, both way too good. Was anyone surprised by those results? I mean, Waikato were pretty decent underdogs, but we sort of sniffed that out and said Paul's favourite potentially, Bay of Plenty. That proved to be true. Yeah.
Seemed like it, eh? Yeah, it wasn't like a good bet. And then probably not getting easy for Bay of Plenty, having those 2 games in a week already, and then heading down to Christchurch this weekend. How about Hawke's Bay Manawatu though, Patrick?
Oh, it was a good first 60 minutes. Nehemiah Scudder, great to see him doing things again. That was good. TK Howden's just an absolute beast. I mean, a lot of Manawatu players played. I think I want to christen that game the clash between the 2 first fives that should be playing for the Hurricanes next season. Like, McClutchy and Brett Cameron both just doing great things, but McClutchy's going to be at Mighty Pacifica.
Yeah, how good.
Yeah, and Mighty Pacifica slowly under the radar putting together a pretty nice roster. Yeah, I'm very excited to see.
Yeah, I like the look of it so far.
Brett Cameron's got to go to Japan. So, if only the Hurricanes realised they had these guys playing in their backyard.
I don't understand how McClutchy doesn't get in.
He's probably one of the form players of the comp at the moment, eh? He's just,
exactly.
Everything he touches turns to gold.
Yep, that's I don't know what's going on there.
But yeah, what I will say about that Hawke's Bay Manawatu game was, like, Manawatu might have been ahead on the scoreboard and looking pretty. A couple of people may or may not have pulled off massive reverse jinxes by texting me saying their Manawatu bets were looking pretty good. And then Hawke's Bay said, no, hold on, we're way better than this lot, and just rolled over them in that last 20 minutes. Near. To another guy playing for Mano Pacifica next season, boy, when he wants to put his head down and run over someone, he's going to put his head down and run over someone. He's been super for them this season. So yeah, great. Yeah, we're just back on Mano Pacifica. Sign all the Hawke's Bay guys when they just wreck the NPC for 2 straight years strategy. I think probably going to be a pretty good one for Naki as well. Another X factor off the bench they're going to have. So if they can round out that roster, looking forward to it. Do you have any? I don't know. Did you watch much of your Wellington Lions down in Otago, Paul?
It being a non-competition game, no. They didn't. I mean, the squads that they put out there were sort of all over the place. It wasn't. No, I watched a few highlights. Didn't really gain much from it. I don't think either team gained much from the match either. So they're sort of non-competition games. I know just to keep the teams fresh, but they don't really do much, inspire much at all.
But they have something for Sky Sport to put on TV, so there's that.
Whoa. Mr. TV executive.
We both know I don't get paid nearly enough to do that, yeah. But, I mean, it is fun. The Southland Wellington game the week before up at Jerry Collins Stadium was fun. I'm not quite so sure.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Yeah, I'm not quite so sure if Northland will be having as much fun with their season over when they have to go to McLean Park and get put into a buzzsaw for 80 minutes on Saturday night, but that's a different question.
There are shield on that just for a laugh.
Imagine that, folks. I think That's the sort of thing, though, it might seem really funny, and then you're down 12-10 at halftime. It's like,
Yeah.
we didn't need to put the shield up here. Didn't Auckland do that once back in the 90s? Like, they took the shield on tour when they didn't have to, and Taranaki or someone beat them in New Plymouth and took the shield off them. Like, can't remember if that's probably more your area of expertise, Paul. I might just be completely imagining that. But
I do remember Taranaki taking it off them a number of times, actually. I'm not sure if they made the decision, if the Auckland rugby team made the decision, or if New Zealand rugby made the decision around them taking it on tour with them. But it was in that area where they had it for quite a long time, and it was about time to see it move into the provinces at least. So it was great when Taranaki did do that.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's good. Like, Hawke's Bay have had it for a reasonable time as well, but we've had a couple of Canterbury decent reigns. So seeing Hawke's Bay take it through 2 off seasons, very nice for the provinces. It'll be good to, and hopefully Manawatu can get another challenge next season, but that's a different story. But we've got 4 very important games of rugby aside from the non-competition game in Napier to get stuck into. First of all, on Friday night, Waikato host Otago. The Moolus are currently $1.37 favourites, 7.5 points in the point start market. This is a reasonably important game. Waikato can lock up a home semi-final, second on the ladder. I don't think a lot of people would have predicted Waikato finishing second on the ladder a few weeks ago, but yeah, they can secure a home semi. And Otago, I think, need a big turnaround. I'm not quite sure what the first tiebreaker is, whether it's head-to-head or points difference, but could, in theory, steal second spot in the championship off Manawatu if they roll the Moolus, but you're getting thousands for that on the book, I think. So, yeah, a lot to play for Waikato. Do you think they can get the job done again, Rissi?
Yeah, I think they can, but I just wonder whether that 7.5 points is a little bit too big. I think Otago have been pretty good, last few weeks. They've had a few wins. They won 3 straight, actually. And then sort of coming off that, that win against that non-competition game last week, but they still got the win, so they'll be aware of that and come into that. Waikato probably will just want it more, with a bit more on the line. But with 7.5 points, I'm not so sure. They've been pretty good against Waikato of late. They've won 4 of the last 5. So yeah, if I'm having a bet in this game, I'd probably be looking towards that plus 7.5. It's a lot of points over a try. So, and with the way Otago have been playing, they've kind of grounded out a few wins. I wouldn't be surprised to see it close. I wouldn't even be surprised to see an upset, to be honest.
Paul, you've long been a champion of the underdog on this podcast, particularly in the NPC. Is this an underdog you're siding with?
No.
Don't make me put a carry on it, Paul.
Here we go. Yeah, it's about time. I need another one. I love the minus 7.5. I think Waikato will just be way too strong for Otago here. I know the blue and golds have looked okay the last few weeks. I don't see them having enough in the tank to take care of. I really respect that Waikato forward pack and especially that type 5. I think they'll just control the set piece and just pick the points off. I really do. I know we'll have some bets at the end of this, but I think you can get a feeling of where my best bet is going to be. I really do like Waikato.
Not this again.
And I like them a lot.
I've long learned to not protect where your best bets are going to be, so I think you can pretty sure there's odds on it not being on this game. But because another game where you've already, I think, tipped your hand is the first of 2 championship quarterfinals. They pretty much are on Saturday afternoon, with Wellington heading down to somewhere in the Tasman region. Of course, the famous struggle for the straight, this clash. So local derby between the 2 sides. Paul, you're not overly confident as a Lions fan?
No. But look, I know Tasman have looked more down than up the last month, but Wellington have always tended to struggle against Tasman, and I think we'll see the same sort of thing this weekend as well. Because, as you say, it's basically a quarterfinal. We'll see that sort of intensity ramp back up within the Tasman team. So I expect Tasman to win this game and win it fairly comfortably. So I'd love Wellington to win. I don't see it happening.
Started a nice little NPC multi there for you, Paul.
It is, yes.
How about you, Richard? Another underdog for you?
Oh, it's a hard one, But I just Wellington are just too unpredictable. They're sort of coming off those two non-competition games where they sort of, obviously haven't been playing their best team, but haven't looked super convincing. Tasman are a little bit worrying, but I think they might just be in Wellington's head a little bit. I think they've won about 6 or 7 straight. So yeah, and there's probably too much on the line. Tasman, they've still got the players there. They just need to sort of put it all together. So yeah, I'll probably still have to be siding with Tasman. There's not that much confidence. It's a really hard one, just with both teams sort of playing a bit erratically at the moment. So, but yeah, if I had to have a bet, I'll go Tasman.
Yeah, they're both sort of like high ceiling, low floor types at the moment, right? Like both teams could run up a bit of a score, I suppose.
Yeah.
If it's I think the better the conditions down there, the more it'll suit Tasman. Wellington probably want it to be a bit messy, and then they can maybe muck it up a bit. Tasman's forward pack, as we said, it hasn't looked quite so intimidating the last few weeks. But yeah, whoever does win that game will lock up a spot in the semis. So plenty to play for, as there is at Orange Theory Stadium at 4:35 immediately following this game. Canterbury are $1.37 favourites against Bay of Plenty, who playing another game on the quick backup after beating Northland and Rotorua last night. Paul, you've already lined up the first 2 legs of your favourites multi. Canterbury, the third leg of that multi?
No, they're not. I like Bay of Plenty here.
Ooh.
I do like them in this situation. I think
on the quick backup.
Yeah, I think it'll suit them. I do think it'll suit them, and I just think that Canterbury were made to look a wee bit better than they actually are against Tasman, and that can happen in those derby games. You don't want to lose to your little brother or your big brother, and I think that can sometimes lift you. And I don't think they'll get to those same sort of heights this weekend. I think Bay of Plenty I think they'll get out to a bit of a lead, and I think they can hold on. So Bay of Plenty, I do like head-to-head at around 290.
Where are you leaning on this one, Richard?
Oh, I think there might just be a bit much of Bay of Plenty having the 3 games in the week. They did smash Canterbury last year, but I think Canterbury have kind of had the better of them of late. Canterbury would have taken a heap from that win, as ugly as it was, and the fact they got the win against Tasman, and knowing that they're coming into such an important part of the season after sort of having a very disappointing season last year, such a proud sort of rugby province Canterbury is. So yeah, I think they'll do it. It won't be a blowout, I don't think. But I think they should do it. Bay of Plenty have had a very disrupted season, obviously, and they haven't played a heap apart from these 2 games in the last week. I think before that there'd been about 2 or 3 weeks before they'd last played. So I think Canterbury's just sort of been able to consistently play and get on with it. So yeah, I think they'll book their spot in the semis and keep the home fans happy for another week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one of the games I'd probably feel stronger about than others. I just that 3 games in 8 days, it used to be a betting gold mine, just loading up against the team on the quick turnaround on the Sunday afternoon. And it's a tough situation. Bay of Plenty, they really did have to put everything into the Northland game last night because keep their season alive. But now going down here, Canterbury will have had the 8-day turnaround. Imagine they won't be doing anything too outrageous. They'll probably just wrestle out another result. Yeah, the 7.5, it is a big early number than I would have liked. Getting it obviously under that key number would have been pretty handy. But yeah, if you had to, I'd maybe wait until halftime, and if they have Bay of Plenty have run up a bit of a lead, like Paul suggests they might, I'd load up in Canterbury then, or take Canterbury 13 plus at halftime if it's close sort of thing. I could see it blowing out late on. So well, we shall see, shan't we, Paul?
Indeed.
Last competition game, Taranaki going to run up a big score on Southland. Anyone disagree with that?
No.
Yeah, I don't even know what the line is. I haven't checked.
Because I still feel a decentish team didn't play last week, and they want to, sort of.
Are they $1.13?
Make a point, about that.
16.5. I thought that was going to be in the 20s. That's great. Yeah. Taranaki are just flying. Yeah, I do think. And Southland, like, if anyone's going to take the week off, it's going to be them. Like, you're not beating Taranaki twice in a row up there. Give the boys the week off after a pretty tough game against Northland last week, and then charge into next week. So I mean, Taranaki, like, they've been missing their 6 best open loose forwards the last couple of weeks. They've Bradley Slater looking like Richie McCaw on the open side against Manawatu. I think they can chuck anyone out there. Yeah, they've got a few really exciting youngsters. Hopefully get another run. I'll be all over Taranaki in that one, and then no odds up yet. But like we said, Northland have to go to Hawke's Bay and play a non-competition game there, but we won't go too into that. I think Hawke's Bay obviously going to have a home semi-final the week after, so might give some guys the week off, but I don't think it'll matter.
Yeah, is it? Do we have odds for that?
No odds up as of especially with Northland having just played last night. I imagine.
I think they're waiting for the team lists and just to see whether Northland put out a B team.
And I mean, like, to be honest, with everything going up in Northland and other aspects of like it wouldn't surprise me if they just flag this game, but I won't speculate on that more. All right, time to get some best bets from the crowd, I'd say. Paul, what's your best bet for
Waikato
this
minus
week?
7.5.
I see what you've done there. How about you, Richard?
Otago plus 7.
Let's go carry time.
No carry this time. I can't do it again.
No carry this time?
What? No carry on.
Come on, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it.
The show not officially sponsored by any curry house, but
Chili and Spice.
No, because we are open to sponsorship opportunities. If anyone does want to get in touch, DM at TAB Sport, and we'll see what we can do. I'm on Canterbury. No, actually, the All Blacks minus 55.5. That's my best bet of the week. They're going to do some. Yeah, it's going to be like the fall of the Roman Empire in Rome on Sunday morning. What about a bit of value for the punters, Paul?
I'm going Bay of Plenty head to head at 290.
Interesting. How about you, Richard?
I'm going to the All Blacks Italy game in the winning team margin 10 points and 61-70 at 450. Just quite specific, but the last 2 games they've played, I think it's been 58 and 62 points. So they're hovering around that area, and just a little bit more value than the line. Well, quite a bit more value than the line. 450 for that. So I like it.
Yeah, I'm going. My official value bet's going to be where are we here? Taranaki minus 26.5 at 320. Like I said, I wouldn't surprise me if Southland give the boys the week off, but I wouldn't talk anyone out of minus 33.5 at $5, minus 37.5 at $6.60, minus 40.5 at $8.10. Which need a 50-point margin there. I think Taranaki could score anything this week if they want to. Obviously, NPC bonus back running again this weekend. I'm just going to check the punters lounge. Yep, all 5 NPC matches that'll be running on. You know the drill. Head to the punters lounge for T's and C's. This is not a legal broadcast, so make sure you check those out. But bonus back.
Place the pre-match winning team and margin bet, and if your team wins but you have the incorrect margin, we'll refund your bet up to $50 as a bonus bet. As Patrick said, head to the punters lounge to check out all the T's and C's.
So what's your if you haven't won bonus back bet this week, Paul? What's it going to be?
Look, I was going to go Taranaki 13 and over at $1.57, but that's not exciting, is it? I think
that's crazy value compared to what you throw out usually.
You should definitely slot it in there somewhere, but no, I'm going to have a real go this weekend. Bay of Plenty 1-12 at $4.33, and if they win by 13 and over, you get a bonus bet.
Yeah. Maybe just have a little saver on the 13 pluses anyway, because I imagine it's pretty juicy odds there. What are you getting both Plenty 13 plus $8.50? Yeah, check a $5 on that as well while you're at it. What's your bonus bet, Richard?
Canterbury 1-12 at $3. Yeah, I mean, 1 to 12. Yeah. I'm almost going to go 13 plus there, but yeah, it's one of those ones. I think Canterbury will win, and the leagues could fall off Bay Plenty late, so that could push it over 13 plus. But hey, I'll get my bonus back. Bonus bet back for that anyway. But yeah, I think Canterbury will be way too good there.
Yeah, I'm going Canterbury 13 plus pretty much for the same reasons you said. I think Canterbury win this game. I think they win it pretty comfortably, and I could see, like Bay Plenty, just that could be too much for them in the last 20 minutes. The leagues get a bit wary there, and Canterbury run in a couple of late tries. So take the 240 and feel pretty good about getting your bonus bet. But I'm sure we'll discuss it over curry on Wednesday one way or another, won't we, Paul?
Not this Wednesday, we won't.
Oh no, of course not. Who's scoring a try this weekend? No teams out there. Have a guess.
Any of the All Blacks, or I was going to pick one of the Taranaki backline. I don't know if I go obvious or not. I probably will actually. Out on the wing there for the Amber and Blacks, Mr. Naholo.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue with that.
Yeah, that's the same.
All right.
I'll go Liam Combs Fairbairn. He's the top try scorer in the comp, and he just seems to be sort of popping up and scoring 1 or 2 basically every week at the moment. So yeah, I think it'd be good bet, but he'll be in a losing team.
I'm going with my boy Dane Coles. We think he's starting against Italy. He's going to be all over the place, just on edges, clearing out rucks, doing all sorts of stuff. He'll get on the try, and I wouldn't, if he does get the start at 6, I wouldn't talk you out of backing the Kiriwani as well, because he'll be playing that edge role, and we'll just be running over folks. Yeah, both of them not a bad idea. The score a try, start a fight double, so might have to see if the bookies can power play written up for that one.
Yeah, I like a little Dane Coles, Tiakiaho, little same game multi. That would be a good one to get on.
Maybe Dane to score a try and get Simbin. You can surely get a good price on that.
Yeah, power play up.
We'll see what we can make happen.
It can go power plays.
But just finish off with a multi-anchor from each of you. Plenty of short favourites to pick from. So who's the one going in all your multis, Paul?
Waikato.
Mm-hmm. Richard?
Taranaki.
I'll go
very short.
They're all just very appealing. These favourites. It's very hard to. I'm gonna go Waikato because I don't know how fired up Otago might put the queue in the rack, and got a tough task going to the Boneyard next week to take on Britt Cameron and the boys. So they'll have to have all eyes on that game if they want to make the final. So I'll take Waikato. That pretty much does us for the week. Unless there's any last pills of wisdom you want to impart on the punters, Paul.
What's that?
Any last pills of wisdom for the punters?
No, just if you're going to have a bet, gamble responsibly.
Of course, manage your limits and all that good stuff. Richard, anything else from you?
No, I couldn't have said it better myself. Just looking forward to a good weekend. A couple of big matches, a lot on the line. So let's go.
Yep, enjoy the rugby.
In 2 Wednesdays' time, Paul.
Maybe you should just leave the cash on your desk before you head down south, so Richard can get his curry this Wednesday. But I'll let you two sort that out. In the meantime, thanks for joining the podcast again, punters. Hope you learned something and have managed to find a few winners this week. We'll be back 7 days' time, break it all down, and preview a very exciting test as the All Blacks head to Dublin, and of course the NPC semi-finals. So should be a bumper edition next week. I'm already excited about it.
Great weekend.
Talk to you then. Cheers, folks.